record on this computer. Okay, so thanks everybody for clicking whatever buttons Zoom asks you to click. And I invite you to settle into and arrive in this moment, all of us together. You may wish to turn off your video recording. Some people find it to be helpful to turn their videos off as they sit. But if you'd like to keep it on, that's absolutely fine. One of my favorite things about meditation, mindfulness meditation, is that we can't do it wrong. And for some of us, we like to stay seated for our meditation. And others may feel moved to lay down on a bed or a sofa or the ground. And others may prefer to stand for their meditation today for the next 15 minutes, which is absolutely fine. As we spend time together, moving away from this life that often includes so much doing and doing and doing, and instead taking the time to do just one thing, just to be present, and present for all the things that are arising moment to moment, without judgment, without blame, without trying to make things different. And inevitably, when we find ourselves lost or confused or falling into the future or the past, or wishing that things were different, which is such a human experience, that we don't punish ourselves for that either. And so I invite you to close your eyes if you wish, or if you prefer to keep your eyes open or your gaze lowered or softened, and find a posture that is soft and relaxed, but also alert. Perhaps a posture that is soft, but also dignified. And I invite you, if you'd like to take your awareness, take your attention, and rest your attention on your feet. And notice all the points of contact between your feet and the ground. Perhaps you're noticing the sense of pressure or touch on the soles of your feet. Or maybe you're noticing where the heel of your foot or your ankle touches a surface. And just resting your attention there. And this is what it feels like to sit atop the earth in this moment. And when your mind starts to wander, that's absolutely okay. You're not doing anything wrong, but just gently bringing your attention and your awareness back to this present moment, to the feelings of your feet on the ground. And this is what it feels like to sit on the earth. And now I invite you, if you like, to take your attention, to take your awareness and move it, guide it inside your body and notice the sensations of your breath. Just noticing, bringing your awareness to the places in your body that you feel your breath the most. Or perhaps where in your body you feel your breath is the most pleasant. Perhaps you're resting your attention on your chest, the rising and falling away of the gentle inhale and exhale. Or maybe you're resting your attention in your belly. Or maybe you're resting your attention in your throat or in the space just outside your nostrils or your mouth. Wherever you're resting your attention, just noticing what it feels like to breathe. And if your mind starts to wander, that's absolutely fine. You're not doing anything wrong. That's just what minds do. And the moment that you realize that your mind is wandering, that moment, that is the moment of mindfulness. That is the practice. And in that moment, we have choice, free will. We're connected to this present moment, and we can choose. Would I like to stay in this thought, this story, this fantasy, this planning, this rehashing, which is absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's not against the rules. Or would we use this moment, this awareness, this connection to the present moment to return to this present moment and stay here for as long as we do, knowing full well that our minds will wander again, returning to our breath, this reliable anchor to the present moment, this reliable friend, always there and only in the present moment. Breathing in, breathing out, right here, this breath. And just noticing where in your body you feel the breath the most. Seeing how close you can get to your breath. You may have noticed that we don't have to make ourselves breathe. Our body knows how to breathe just right. It's almost like our body is breathing us. Just noticing what it feels like to breathe in this moment. Resting your attention in the place in your body where you feel your breath the most, or where your breath is the most pleasant or pleasing. And if your mind starts to wander, it's absolutely okay. You're not doing anything wrong. Our minds are like little puppies, little kittens, always wandering, always wondering, what's over there? What's this? What might happen next? And we don't need to get mad at the little puppy or scold the little kitten. Don't need to try to scare these little animals into compliance. No, but instead with kindness, with gentleness, with love, gently guide the little kitten, the little puppy, back to the center of the room, of the carpet, and we can guide our minds gently, lovingly, back to the present moment. Using these reliable anchors, this tether to the present moment, our breath. Breathing in, breathing out, right here, this breath. And this is what this breath is like. And this is what this breath is like. And this is what this breath is like. And in a few moments, you'll hear the sound of 3 bells that will mark the end of this meditation sit together. And see if you can maintain this connection to the present moment. And will our minds wander again sometime in the future? Absolutely, without a doubt. And that we can find our way back to this present moment. no matter how lost or confused or afraid we may feel, that there are so many ways to make our way back to this present moment. Our breath, the sensations of our feet on the ground, sounds all around us, or the sounds that are coming from inside us. And sounds are a particularly useful anchor to the present moment. Sounds are always and only happening right now. Sounds never happen in the future or the past, and they're there for us. And we can find our way back to this present moment, resting our attention, resting our awareness, resting our curiosity, resting our gratitude, resting in this present moment. And before we finish, a brief poem by Pat Schneider called The Patience of Ordinary Things. It is a kind of love, is it not? How the cup holds the tea, how the chair stands sturdy and foursquare, how the floor receives the bottoms of shoes or toes, how soles of feet know where they're supposed to be. I've been thinking about the patience of ordinary things, how clothes wait respectfully in closets, and soap dries quietly in the dish, and towels drink the wet from the skin of the back, and the lovely repetition of stairs. And what is more generous than a window? Bong, bong, bong. And I invite you, when you're ready, to bring some gentle movement to your body, perhaps wiggling your fingers and your toes, perhaps maybe turning your head from side to side, or moving or twisting your body, bending in whatever way your body would like to move. No need to rush. And when you're ready, I invite you to open or blink your eyes and return to this Zoom room together. Well, hello. Welcome back, even though we didn't go anywhere. Or did we? So I'm so glad that we're all here. We're able to practice together and sit together, even though we're from all over the globe. It sure is nice to sit with people. It's a very intimate thing, and I'm so glad that we can. And there's some other things I'm very glad about. I'm glad that we are here together as we are each week. We've been here for 3.5 years or so. We're the InsightLA Mindfulness and Deep Suffering Practice Group. We're a practice group. We just practiced. We're an affinity group. We like to call this also the Hope Group, which is besides the word hope. And I read a quote that hope is the hope that the feelings right now will change. Hope is the hope that the feelings present right now will change, or something like that. But we also have HOPE as an acronym, which stands for healing ourselves through the present experience, HOPE, healing ourselves through the present experience, which I like. You know what else I like? Patrick Park. I like his hair. I like his glasses. I like his face. And I like the things he says. And Patrick, thank you so much for being here. You've made this group so great, filled with so much wisdom, so much love, so much levity, so much seriousness. I'm so glad that you're here and you've come. That you're part of the you're part of the group. And for those that are meeting Patrick for the first time, Patrick is amazing. Bit of a Renaissance man, in my opinion. Patrick is a phenomenal supervisor at the Suicide Prevention Center. Former crisis counselor, as many of us did. That was our growth. We started as counselors, and then we moved on to supervising counselors and helping them taking calls, speaking with people who are in a crisis, people who are struggling, people who are feeling alone, people who are suffering in silence. And I've told you before, dude, but I always learn a lot when I would listen to you talk to people. Whether you're speaking with somebody who is struggling today with something, or speaking with somebody who's calling about someone else who's struggling and helping them to hold that other person's suffering. Patrick is also an accomplished musician. Amazing, amazing. And Patrick is also a senior Dharma teacher in the Zen tradition. And again, Patrick, thanks so much for bringing your all of your experience and your heart and your heartbreak into this group and sharing teachings about what really matters, which is that life sometimes feels impossible. Life sometimes is impossible, the deep suffering of life. And thank goodness the opposite of suffering is not no suffering. The job of us is not just, some people don't like that September is called Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. There's nothing wrong with suicide prevention, but some people take exception to the word prevention as if that's our only goal. But can we prevent suffering? Can we stop suffering? And so how do we sit with suffering? How do we sit with what is? And thank goodness we don't have to do it alone. Maybe the opposite of suffering is connection. Connection to other people that get it, connection to ourselves, connection to meaning, connection to, well, connection. So I'm going to shut up now and over to the wonderful, I'm building you up too much. Apparently stand-up comedians, they have this rule with stand-up comedy. If you build up the stand-up comedian in introductions, they don't like it. It's just, yeah. So I've set the bar way too high. Here is the mediocre at best, Patrick Park, to give a teaching on what is Zen. Patrick, what is Zen, brother? Over to you.
I like that. The very mediocre Patrick Park. It's perfect. Um, Hi guys. So, um, so Zen is very, very simple. Who are you? Okay. And to talk, anybody have any questions? Um, so when we ask that question, right? And I come here and I bring this up a lot. So it's not just the words, right? But really, really examining that. You know, when someone says, "Who are you?" What comes up? Like, "Oh, I'm Brian," or "Oh, I'm a therapist," or "I'm a son," or "I'm a friend," I'm a this, I'm that, right? We're struggling with our, kind of our negative thinking, maybe like, "I'm not enough. I'm a piece of shit. You know, I'm this, I'm that." Um, but really what you are is before all of that. All of this is just thinking. Right? This is all just like there are concepts that we put on ourselves and everything around us, right? And we're always reacting to these concepts. We're always like, trying to avoid pain, right? We're always trying to get pleasure. We're always trying to avoid loss. We're always trying to gain something. We're trying to always avoid being embarrassed, you know, or humiliated, right? We're always kind of seeking praise. So all these kinds of things, right? Always reacting in this way. And when you look at this world today, right, you can see this very clearly, right? Because we look at the world and I think we all kind of just go, geez, like, what the hell? It's just spinning out of control, right? So it just goes from bad to worse. And every solution, right, seems like just creates another mess, right? Maybe we feel that way in our own life too, you know. And that's like the fundamental problem that we're in. That's called samsara, you know. And samsara is this looking outward constantly, right? It's the mind focused outward on its own projections, mistaking everything as inherently real, right? And reacting to those, So in this type of like thinking, right? In this type of always looking out, this is opposites world, okay? So when you have hope, you also have fear, right? When you have gain, you also have loss. When you have, happiness, right? You also have suffering. When you have something beautiful, you also have something ugly, right? So this is why this, what we call samsara, just doesn't work. Nothing works, okay? Because it's always changing, 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 changing. So Zen Master Sung San talked about Zen. He talked about means finding your primary point. Okay, so that means he likened it to say like a scale. All right, and you put something on that scale, right? It shoots up. All right, 200 pounds. Okay, and when you take it back off, right, it should go back to zero. But the problem is, with our minds, put something on that scale, goes to 200 pounds, right? Take it off, stays at 200 pounds, right? Because we're still thinking about it. We're still fixated on it. We're still reacting to our thoughts about it, to like the thoughts that the feelings that the thoughts bring up, right? Or like a calculator, right? You don't hit clear on the calculator and you keep pushing in numbers, keep trying to like, do problems. The answers start getting all fucked up, right? So that's like how it is, right? The answers get fucked up because we never hit clear. We never return back to zero, okay? So Zen means finding that primary point, you know? And then we say like making your center strong, okay? So that means, you know, something appears, you know, and, you know, you there's a reaction, right? But then you immediately go back, right? And at first it's, you get pulled away and then we gradually come back. And then the more and more you practice, right, this becomes smaller and smaller. And then finally, instead of getting totally blown off track, it's just kind of like this, right? Everything becomes very workable in that place. Um, so Zen really is the thing that sort of differentiates it, particularly the kind of Zen, the Korean tradition and the practice is this question: what am I? Okay. So when you're thinking, you know, who is doing the thinking? You know, who is it? And this question is not is not the question like, who am I? Who am I? We're not sitting there going, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Right? It's really looking. You have to look, you know? So, we have this sense of this I that goes through life, that goes through all of these experiences. All these things happen to this I, right? But where does this I really live? Is it your body? You know, your body's completely different from when you were a kid, right? But the I is the same. The sense of I is still is still the same as when you were a kid, right? Your body, like, there's not a single cell in your body that's the same. I think, what is it, every 5 years or something? I can't remember. You know, so there's nothing you can point to in your body at all. Not even a single cell where you can say, this is me. This is it. So where does this I reside? You know, is it your thinking? It's thinking just constantly, you know, just like the clouds come and going, just always, 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 always changing. We have something like 30,000 thoughts over the course of a single day. Okay. Also, when you're having, like, one thought, right? One thought comes up and you can't focus on another thought, right? It just happens quickly like this, you know. And this kind of illusion of continuity, right? We kind of maybe mistake as I, but really, when you look for it, you can't find it. So in the Zen tradition that I practice in, we call it don't know. You're keeping a don't know mind. Okay, so that means coming back to your mind before thinking. All that, you know. So you look at it. What is this? Who am I? Who is really thinking? Don't know. So if that's confusing, you can sometimes I say, like, you rest in what can't be found. Okay. So when you look, who am I? Who is it that's going through this experience? You really look, you can't find it. You rest in that. Rest in what can't be found. Okay. So that's don't know mind, right? And that in the essence is the essence of Zen. Come back again and again and again. Get pulled away, come back. Pulled away, come back. You know. And there's a reason that it's a practice, right? Because in the beginning, this is like this is difficult. We sit and we just think, I can't do this. I don't know how to meditate. I'm doing it all wrong. Like, all I'm doing is thinking about this. We sit down, and all of a sudden, it's just like, you know, our mind just going crazy. We're thinking about everything that ever happened to us, like intrusive thoughts. We're feeling fear. We're feeling anxious. We feel like, I can't sit here another moment, right? So all of this is always going on, right? It's just that now we're seeing it, and that's not always comfortable, okay? But that's a good thing, and that's where we start. That's where we have to start, you know. So gradually, you know, that settles. The practice of Zen is very similar to, you know, uh, other forms of meditation. If you practice other things, you focus on the breath, sit with your spine straight, focus on your breath, let your breath sink down into your belly, breathe from that place. And you watch what happens, right? When something comes up, you notice, and something is coming up, you notice that, oh, I'm thinking about what I have to buy at the store, thinking about, this interaction that I had at work, this infuriating asshole, right? You're thinking about how this guy that cut you off in traffic, okay? All of that, right? So, and then all that stuff comes up, you recognize, oh yeah, my breath, right? And then you just come back. Oh, what is this? What am I? Oh, something comes up again, come back, back. So, you know, it's really a practice of coming back again and again and again. Um, and then we talk about 4 pillars, which I've talked a little bit about before, but I should talk about them again. Um, so we call these 4 pillars. There's great doubt, great faith, great question, great bodhisattva vow. All right. So great doubt is something that everybody kind of knows, right? And if you're in this group, you're intimately acquainted with great doubt, right? And it's that, what is the point? What is this? Shit just keeps happening again and again and again, right? It's that sense of like futility sometimes that we feel of life, right? You know, I remember my first like taste of this. I remember I was a kid. I was probably 6 years old, and I really, really wanted this transformer. If you're old enough to know what transformers are, I forget what it was called. It's like this white one, and it turned into a plane. It was awesome. And I begged my parents for this thing, begged and begged, for months. And I was like, listen, if you just give me this one toy, like I'll be set. I'll be set for life. Okay, you don't ever have to give me anything again. I'll be happy. You know, you don't have to worry about it. I really felt like that. You know, so Christmas, I get this toy, right? Wow, it's awesome. I start playing with it. It's kind of harder to play with than I imagined, right? My dad put the some of the decals on wrong, right? So already not quite right, you know. Um, but still I loved it. It's just loved like having it, you know. So excited about it. I used to sleep with it. I used to like always kind of look at it, carry it around with me for about, you know, 2 weeks, right? And then kind of started forgetting about it. Like I said, it was kind of hard to play with. Like, felt like I was always gonna break it. And then it occurred to me one day because I was in my room and I looked over at it and I hadn't thought about it, picked it up or looked at it for like a month. And, I was little, but it hit me like, you know, and it wasn't as articulated as this, but it was this thing of, man, I thought that thing was like kind of set me up for life, right? I thought that I was going to be happy forever. I just had this one thing and I didn't care about it, right? We do that. We still do that. Okay. Oh, but if I just had this promotion, if I had this money, if I had this job, right? I could get this house. I'm so fucking tired of living in an apartment. If I could just buy a house, everything would be good, right? If I could just my car sucks. If I could just get this car, I'm sitting in traffic all the time. If I could just have like a nice car, my life would be great. And then, same. We get these things, right? Not good enough. So now we need something else. Okay. So great doubt is not falling into despair about this reality that everything inherently is always changing, and not enough, right? It's recognition of this is our situation. This is samsara. Nothing works here. This is that constant like looking out, you know, viewing these things as inherently real, right? Like so this transformer was inherently real, inherently like this perfect thing that was going to solve all of my problems as a 6-year-old Patrick, right? That view was finite. That view was unchanging, right? And this is how we look at things. Right? So great doubt is recognizing this. Okay. Ah, this is a trap. This is the trap that we're constantly falling into. And I fall for it again and again and again. How do I get out of this trap? Okay. So then we arrive at great question. Okay. All right. Well, it's not these things. The, there's no like external thing that's gonna be the thing, that is gonna fulfill me and sustain me throughout my life, create this like happiness that goes on and on, right? It's always gonna change. So what is it? What's the deal? What's the solution? Who am I? Okay. This is that great question, right? What am I? Who is going through this? You know, don't know. And again, we come back to this question. So great faith. Okay. This means, you know, we believe in our true self 100%. I mean, great faith is tricky for people because, you know, first of all, we tend to equate faith with belief. Okay. But belief and faith are not the same. Okay. Belief and faith are in many ways opposites. Okay. So belief is holding on to an idea. Belief is, you know, just grasping, holding on to this thing. This is what I believe. This is who I am, right? But faith, you can only have faith and just completely letting go, right? That's faith. Faith is completely letting go, right? So again, come back, we hold, and then we let go, go, let go. In the beginning, like great faith is hard. You may not like really might not believe me, right? You don't believe I do have a true self, you know, because our experience, if like being on the suicide line, one thing I always notice, right, it's really like it doesn't matter what the situation is, okay, that the people that I talk to are presenting, right? Because in essence, really, it's always kind of like the same thing, you know. whatever the external situation is. Sometimes it's just unbelievably horrible, right? Sometimes it seems maybe on the face of it sort of mundane, right? But it's how like we hold these situations, the stories that we tell ourselves about them, you know, the stories that we, you know, really, really settle on about ourselves in the situation. We have this constant experience of suffering, always coming up, 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 up. Fuck, I hate this experience. I hate this feeling. I hate this feeling. I hate this feeling. I am this feeling. I hate myself. Okay. Right. So we hate that experience of suffering. We hate it. We equate that experience of suffering with ourselves. And then we hate ourselves. This is our thought. Okay. And this is all like it's all just like a big misunderstanding, you know? It's all a big misunderstanding of what our experience is, you know? So I say this because I recognize that great faith can be difficult, you know? And in the beginning, it helps to like, you know, think about great masters. You know, it helped me, you know, till you kind of like really, till you really kind of like, oh, this is it. You know, it helps to think of like the great masters. They devoted their entire life practicing, you know, their whole life is only for all beings. Like everything they do, you know. So, you know, you think of that and you like think of like, oh, well, they must be onto something, right? This practice hasn't changed. Like, you know, in essence, what I'm talking about today is the same thing that, you know, has been talked about for 2,500 years. It's not really different. They all come to the same conclusion, you know, and then they all live their entire life just for others, you know. So it helps to think of them, you know, to reflect on their teachings, to read their teachings, you know. And then the last pillar we call great bodhisattva vow, you know, and I talk about these things in order, but really there's no order, you know. These things are just arising constantly out of each other. And great bodhisattva vow is the beginning, middle, and end, you know. Because when we stop reacting, okay, to like our concepts of this and that, wrong and right, like and dislike, when we stop chasing all that, you know, automatically, you know, it's love. And I I used to have a problem with that word, right? You know, you hear teachings and you're like, ah, love, come on, it's not love, you know, because that's not my experience, right? You know, but it really is true. You know, so sometimes I don't know if you've heard me tell this story, but I was in Canada, um, you know, back when I was sort of touring and stuff, and I was walking, I was playing at a college, and I was walking behind these two guys. They're having this conversation, you know, clearly they're students, right? One guy's just talking, you know, people are inherently selfish. Human beings are inherently selfish, and that is at the core our true nature. You know, you can't get around that. You know, and altruism is a myth. It's a lie. You know, da 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 da. So he's going on and on and on and on, right? And loving kind of the sound of his own voice. Um, and you know, and the other guy's just kind of like, and so as he's talking, like mid sentence, right? He's coming up to a curb, and there's a kind of older woman who slips on the curb. And mid sentence, talking about how inherently selfish we are, altruism is a myth. Da 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 da. He reaches out and catches this woman from falling. Okay. Doesn't even, you know, take a moment, just, oh, okay, and then continues on. Yeah, people, that's just what we are. Da, 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 da. Right? Like, and for me, I was like, well, but what was that? Like that's before thinking. That's before thinking, right? All this you're just making, okay? And we're doing that all the time, okay? But this, oh, like that's before thinking, you know? Um, so an important part of Zen as well is finding people to practice with. Okay, and one in this group is so important because when we're practicing on our own, right? It's very easy, even in practice, to just follow our likes and dislikes. Okay, you know, I like this feeling. Ah, so peaceful. This is what I need. I love this peacefulness, right? Like that. You're only following that. If you're only chasing that, right? You have a big problem. Okay, because with peace, you have chaos, you have not peacefulness, you have pain, you have suffering. Okay. Does that make sense? Right? When you make, I just want peace. What happens? This is not good enough. Well, this isn't quite as peaceful as I felt before. This isn't quite right. Okay. You know, oh, well, maybe this is not the right meditation. Maybe this is not the right practice. Maybe a different practice is better. Okay. Maybe I like this. Maybe I like Vajrayana, right? Maybe I like uh, you know, mindfulness. Maybe I like transcendental. Okay. So if you're only following your likes and dislikes, right? You're still always looking out. You're still always looking outside. Okay. You're still caught in that wheel. Okay. So whatever you practice, you know, you have to just come back, let go, come back, back, back. And practicing with other people helps us put down our likes and dislikes. Okay. In Zen, we have, right, there's forms. Everybody bows at the same time. Everybody wears the same ugly ass robes, like, right? Everybody does the same thing. Okay. And the reason for that is because it doesn't matter if you don't like this or if you don't like it, right? What is your job in this moment? Oh, you walk into the Dharma room, bow. Okay. It doesn't matter what your opinion is about bowing to the Buddha, right? This is what you do. All right. So you put down your like, put down your dislike, put down your ideas. Okay. Oh, I don't like chanting. Chanting, God, I don't get it. Doesn't matter. Chanting time, just chant. Okay. Everybody. Boom. Same thing. Come back. Come back. I don't like this. Doesn't matter. Come back. Come back. Put that down. Put that down. What is your job at this moment? Okay. So finding people to practice with, whether it's coming here, right, and we all practice together, finding a center, I think is extremely helpful. If you're in Los Angeles, Dharma Zen Center is an amazing place. A great community, great teachers. Um, check it out. Um, and then, finally, like in essence, Zen means keeping your correct relationship, correct function, or your correct situation, your correct function moment to moment to moment to moment to moment to moment for all beings. And that can sound kind of like cold hard mathy, right? But it's really not. And it's extremely profound and just infinitely deep. You know, what is my correct relationship? So often we lose that, right? So using the example of uh, the crisis line, okay? I was at a counselor yesterday, had this really, really, just a very problematic call, newer counselor. Um, and just trying to fix, trying to fix. And it's just pissing the other person off, right? It's just making them feel worse and worse, right? And the call has gone on, so long. And what is the relationship, right? So in that context, like as a counselor, right, talking to this person, right? I can't fix your life. We're not going to fix these issues in a 30-minute conversation, an hour conversation. We're not going to fix it. So what is the correct function, right? What is my relationship? I hear you, see you, right? That's what that person needs. Okay. But we lose that. We lose our the correct relationship, right? We get pulled into, our fear, our insecurity, right? And we react to that. Okay. And this is karma. This is what karma is. Okay. It's your mind habit. All right. If something comes up, you react to it. This reaction goes, creates another cause. You react to that, on and on and on. Okay. So that means making your karma clear, right? That means keeping your relationship clear, keeping the situation clear, and keeping your action in that moment clear. All right. You know, so, you know, I often I was talking to a friend of mine who's a therapist, and he's just talking about what people need, and like how to help people who are suffering. And one thing I feel like I always come back to is it's just love. Okay. Like everybody, just what they need is love, right? And they may look different, situation to situation, moment to moment, right? But it's a question that I come back to so much, increasing during the day, over and over. Every time I kind of have an interaction, how do I show this person true love? You know, sometimes it's obvious, right? Sometimes I don't know. You know, that doesn't mean I'm giving everybody a hug. I love you. Here's my phone number, and here's a bunch of money, whatever, right? It's just being very present, very, you know, very with them in that moment. You can do that moment to moment to moment to moment. Your life will vastly change. Okay. So I hope that some of this has made some kind of sense. I hope that all of you make a strong resolve to practice. I hope you all find your true self and save all beings from suffering. And please ask any questions that come up for you.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you so, so much. Deep, deep bow. And let me turn off the recording.